Before the dust of history settled, before the myths of gods and heroes were carved in stone, the fate of Greece stood on a knife's edge. The year was 480 BC, and the most powerful empire the ancient world had ever seen was moving west to crush it. Persia had risen in less than a century from a cluster of kingdoms to a colossus. Under King Xerxes, its reach stretched from the mountains of modern-day Iran to the fertile Nile in Egypt, across the deserts of Mesopotamia to the shores of the Aegean. It ruled over lands so vast that the sun seemed never to set on its borders. It commanded armies counted not in thousands, but in hundreds of thousands. And now it had set its sights on Greece. This wasn't Persia's first attempt. 10 years earlier, at the Battle of Marathon, the Greeks had humiliated the great King Darius, Xerxes' father, driving his forces back into the sea. That defeat was a wound to Persian pride, and Xerxes would see it avenged. In the great halls of Persepolis, golden columns rose like forest trunks, their capitals carved into bulls and lions. Courtiers and generals gathered beneath frescoes, depicting the kings as towering figures above kneeling subjects. Here Xerxes declared his intent. Greece would be punished for its defiance, not simply beaten, erased. The army he raised was unlike any the world had ever seen. Soldiers from every corner of his empire, Babylonians in scale armor, Egyptians with tall reed shields, horsemen from the steppes, and the elite immortals clad in black and gold. The Persian fleet shadowed them along the coast, a floating city of triremes and supply ships. Against this, the Greek city-states were fractious, quarrelsome. Athens looked to its navy. Thebes played its own game. But Sparta was different. When the call came to unite, King Leonidas of Sparta stepped forward. Leonidas was not simply a king. He was a product of the agog, Sparta's brutal system that forged boys into warriors through years of hardship, discipline, and combat. Every Spartan was a soldier first, citizen second, and yet he chose only 300 men to accompany him north. Not because they were the only ones Sparta could spare, but because each was a father with a living son, a safeguard that their family lines would endure should they fall. It was not a suicide mission. It was a message. Sparta will stand. Thermopylae, the hot gates, was a narrow pass squeezed between the mountains and the Malian Gulf. Here the land narrowed so tightly that Persia's vast army could not use its numbers all at once. A bottleneck, a place where courage could blunt the edge of overwhelming force. Leonidas marched with his 300 Spartans, supported by several thousand allies from other Greek states. Their bronze Corinthian helmets gleamed in the sun, crimson cloaks flowing behind them, round shields marked with the lambda, the symbol of Laconia. From the Persian lines, the pass looked like a trap for the Greeks. From the Greek lines, it looked like a gift from the gods. The first assault came in the morning mist. Persian archers loosed volleys so dense that the sky seemed to darken. The Spartans raised their shields, the sound of arrows striking like rain on bronze. Then came the infantry, Medes and Scythians, charging into the narrow throat of the pass. But the Spartans fought in the phalanx, their shields overlapping, their spears stabbing in disciplined rhythm. The Persians pushed and broke. Wave after wave crashed against the crimson wall, only to be repelled. By nightfall, the pass was choked with the fallen. The Spartans had not yielded a single step. Xerxes watched from his throne, furious. On the second day, he unleashed his elite, the immortals. 10,000 men clad in scale armor and armed with spears and curved swords. They were Persia's finest. Their name meant to inspire fear. When one fell, another stepped forward, making them seem endless. But in the choke of the pass, endless numbers meant little. The Spartans fought with relentless discipline, rotating their front lines so no man grew too weary. Spears splintered, swords clashed, and still the wall held. Yet far from the battlefield, fate shifted. A Greek named Ephialtes, seeking reward, approached the Persian camp. He revealed a hidden goat path through the mountains, a trail that would allow Xerxes' forces to outflank the defenders. That night, under cover of darkness, Persian troops moved through the pass. By dawn of the third day, Leonidas knew the enemy would soon be behind them. Leonidas called his allies. He ordered them to withdraw, to live and fight another day. The Spartans stayed. They knew what was coming, and still they formed their wall one last time. Persians attacked from the front, while the flanking force closed in from behind. Shields splintered, spears shattered into stubs. Men fought with swords, then with daggers, then with their bare hands. The crimson cloaks darkened with dust and sweat, streaked with the bronze gleam of dented armor. Leonidas fell in the press of battle, his body fought over by both sides until the Persians claimed it. By mid-morning, the last Spartan had fallen. Thermopylae was lost. The pass was open. The Persian army marched on to capture Athens. But the stand at the hot gates had bought precious time. Within a year, the Greek fleet would shatter the Persian navy at Salamis. Months later, at Plataea, the united Greek army would finally break Xerxes' hold. The 300 did not live to see victory, but they lit a fire that no empire could extinguish. They proved that free men, standing together, could defy even the mightiest of kings. Can you imagine? Knowing you will not return home and still choosing to stay? Choosing not the path of survival, but the path of legacy? And if this story stirred something in you, follow Chronicle Vault for more legendary history that should never be forgotten.